This book is critically acclaimed and everybody talks about it. Simply put, are the lessons from Atomic Habits sustainable and practical to apply in a real world setting? If so, could you apply it to your life in order to achieve your goals? Let's learn together on exactly what those steps are. I'm sure you've had those days where you feel like success is not happening. You're not where you want to be, you beat yourself down, you ask questions of yourself. Wouldn't it be cool if we could all have data files plugged into our head which magically taught us ninjutsu or allowed us to speak fluent Swahili in mere moments?
I know Kung Fu.
The real world doesn't work like that, unfortunately, and the only way we're going to possess these skills is if we work. Is this book a cheat code? In a way, yes. But do not be naive and think it will suddenly create a rewarding life. The only way to do that is through one of two ways: effort and passion. This book claims to be able to teach you how to focus your effort so that you may follow your passion. That's my take on it. Let's get into the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'll be going through the book and summarizing what I've learned, what the key aspects are, and I'll create a cheat list on how to apply the lesson into a real world aim. I'll call it the chain for improvement. Changes that seem small and unimportant at first will compound into remarkable results. After all, a key takeaway from this book is that without embracing the whole 1% idea and implementing a system, your identity will not change. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you definitely have a passion for something, but perhaps where you struggle is the effort side. Join the club. I will attempt to follow through with the lessons learned in my goal of learning Spanish and create follow-up videos tracking my progress. But first, let's learn about what it is I have to do to form new habits according to a book. Time to find out whether this system is BS. I'll give reasons as to why that specific goal later, but first, I'd like to ask you a question. Is it possible to successfully implement a system of continuous small improvements to achieve a different outcome from before? I bloody hope so, as I have failed to learn Spanish quite a few times. After reading this book, I can say without any doubt that wow, it definitely pumps you up and makes you think like Kevin Garnett. Anything's possible! So let's start at the beginning. Straight in, the book is such a captivating start, but I want to bring your attention to page 7, and this hit me really hard. With the same habits, you'll end up with the same results. Yeah, sounds about right. Not gonna lie, that stung a little bit. Straight on to page 10, the book promises that you'll learn lasting principles you can rely on year after year, and continues that enthusiasm later, where the author calls Atomic Habits small and mighty changes which seem insignificant at first, but soon they build on one another and fuel bigger wins. The 1% compound growth. You've heard of it, I'm sure. The author goes on to address two elements we need to address in order to build Atomic Habits, and that all begins with changes. But the reason we struggle is twofold. Number one, we try to change the wrong thing, and two, we try to change our habits in the wrong way. Number two is answered with the chain of improvement, as I call it, which is the changes advised by this book on how to implement a system to create Atomic Habits and achieve all that good stuff. But let's talk about one. We try to change the wrong thing. This is where this book gets really clever. The author argues it makes a lot of sense. As humans, we focus a bit too much on the outcome and set goals to achieve this outcome. So things like, I want to run 5 kilometers in 10 minutes. I want to lose 4 kilos. It's been Christmas. Be nice. I want to be promoted. All that jazz. But we're looking at it the wrong way. We are looking at it through the lens of what we perceive as success and ignore the who we have to become in order to achieve the what. Mad good, right? It gets better. We shouldn't focus on what we want to achieve, we should focus on who we wish to become. So we turn it into an identity-based habit. No, that doesn't mean I have to become Spanish. Though let's be honest, that would be pretty funny. It's all about the mind shift change. So the first step in the pursuit of my goal, or anyone's goal for that matter, is defining who I, they, you want to be, not what I, they, you want to achieve. So I want to be someone who can converse and understand Spanish to a high level. It's a mind shift change, a theme constantly reinforced throughout the book. So if you're looking at running 5 kilometers in 30 minutes, the mind shift change for you would be completely forget about that goal. Throw it out the window and alter it from an outcome-based habit into an identity-based habit. So you are a stamina runner. I don't know, is that what it's called? Okay, so you would ask yourself questions like, how would a stamina runner behave? What would a stamina runner eat? How would one address this situation? I don't think stamina runner is right. It doesn't sound right, but we'll continue. As you alter your identity, you make better choices in the pursuit of your chosen identity, and everything will fall together. This really sets the foundation of the whole book, especially within that idea of small changes compounding into remarkable results. This is the first big change, mind shift. My goal is to become someone who speaks Spanish, great Spanish, not to get to level 100 in Duolingo. Remember, we're at the start. We need to understand how habits work. I'll be honest, this bit wasn't very interesting for me because I've known my goal for a long time. I just haven't followed through with it. Sound familiar? I'll explain more in a second. So, the 4 cycles to a habit are cue, craving, response, reward. I'm not going to focus on the first 2 points because they're reactionary. Like I've said, we all know what it is we need to do. We just lack the motivation, lack of effort perhaps, and that is where our system, or lack of system as the book calls it, falls apart. At least for me anyway. So I'm going to focus on the 3rd stage, response, and hopefully what you'll get out of this video, and by following my journey, is this system of owning the response stage and seeing it applied in a real world setting. The response stage is where I fall down. I do not follow through. I know what I need to do, I just don't do it. Maybe you can relate. By following my journey in this system of owning the response stage and seeing it applied in a real world setting on a real world habit that I want to build. Sorry, identity. Mind shift. So let's learn together about how the author explains what systems we need to implement to get to the reward stage. When people want to get better at something, their brain fights it because of the lizard brain theory. The brain doesn't like the unknown and prefers to keep you safe. Learning new things are bad. Read about the lizard brain if you haven't. It's so fascinating and explains a lot of human behavior, maybe just mine. But back to this book and the whole reason as to why I'm undertaking this challenge in the first place. It's to become someone who speaks excelente español. I have the cue and craving, but when I get to response stage, my body knows studying isn't fun, and then when I think further to reward, I'm like, bruh, I got Google Translate, so it demotivates me. But I think what the author means at this stage, and we will delve deeper into it, but I interpret it as, because my system falls down at the response stage, that's where I need to focus my efforts. And I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you know what it is you want to do, but you possibly don't have the right system in place and are looking at how you can overcome that. I need to learn about how to respond better and rewire my brain so that it craves the reward and the response becomes a better one. Chapter 4 lays out this graphic and it demonstrates the good habits versus bad habits under our problem cycle of response the author lists to make it easy. Oh god, perhaps this book is not what we thought it would be. I really wish she came at it better than that. You know what's easy? Not studying, and then the author goes on to say make it attractive. What, like watching TV? Come on, dude. This bit I struggled with, but my beautiful wife Natalie cracked it as soon as I discussed it with her. Is that when the author says to make it easy, he means to make it accessible and give yourself the tools to overcome. Pretty much my whole chain is about building up my tool set to overcome falling down at the response stage so I can enable myself to be better positioned at becoming the new identity I wish to form. So for me, one way I can make it easier is to keep the book on my desk. Alternatively, if you'd like to break bad habits, we would do the opposite and make that difficult. So hide the PlayStation controller, TV remote, cancel Netflix, or whatever it is that takes up your time and something you would rather not be doing. That's quite a simple concept, but breaking it down like that is actually pretty useful. If you find yourself doing too much of something you don't want to keep doing, then think about what obstacles you can put in place to disrupt it. Be Elon Musk on Twitter. We all know what a good habit should be and what a bad habit is. So taking the batteries out of the remote control, if you're a person who watches too much TV, for example, obstacles. This is because the author asks you to be honest with yourself and ask yourself this question every day. Does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Mind shift change. Powerful thinking. So this is good. We've got a new identity. We've thought about how we can make it easier, but still, my lizard brain can't comprehend studying as fun. It would rather waste time scrolling useless things online. Let's see how we can train or even trick our brain into doing things which we have to do in order to achieve this new identity that we want. This next part is killer, as I interpret the first bit of the book to be all about accountability. We've all seen The Matrix, right? Stay with me. Wouldn't it be cool if we could all have data files plugged into our head which magically taught us ninjutsu or allowed us to speak fluent Swahili in mere moments?
I know Kung Fu.
The real world doesn't work like that, unfortunately, and the only way we're going to possess these skills is if we work. And if we don't work to become our desired identity, then we have no one to blame but ourselves. Lizard brain just shrank a little bit. Accountability, that for me is key, and it's a tough one, right? We all dream up scenarios and make excuses, but if it's no magic plug, you're not a computer. You're gonna have to work to become who you want. Effort ignites ability. So point 4 on a habit building chain is another simple one. Number 4, write down what it is you want to achieve in your pursuit of becoming the person you want to be. Make a timestamp, even a location if you want. It's not groundbreaking, but another powerful tool. Studies have shown this being successful, and there's a case study the author refers to in the book as well. So here goes. I will study Spanish every day at 10 a.m. on my desk, or any desk that I am working on. No going back now. We're on to number 5 now, and this is something I have never ever heard of before. Habit stacking. It's essentially you looking at your schedule. Please go ahead, write it down, visualize it, and then notice a pattern. What you do is try to eradicate the bad ones, but more importantly, you add on the new ones you're trying to form as an extension of habits or things you already do. And one way to do it is to put the thing you want to do after the thing it is you need to do. So for example, you want to go for a coffee and a walk. A walk. And your morning routine looks like this. You brush your teeth, you have a coffee, and then you go for a walk. Coffee and walk are wants, but if we sandwich them in between a need, not only do we complete habit stacking, we also wire our brain to then associate the thing we need to do with the thing we want to do. But we also have to apply the rules of making it easy and writing it down. So for example, brush your teeth, floss, need, coffee, want, learn Spanish, need, walk, want. And how do we accomplish that? We make flossing easy. We change the environment so that it will better enable us to perform that new habit. For example, we would have the floss on the side and visible whilst the coffee machine is warming up. And the Spanish book is a phrase book that you have near your shoes. This is you disrupting your routine slightly, but with habit stacking, and more importantly, by putting what you want after it is the thing you need, you create that association. That is integral. My example was essentially just looking at the protein of the sandwich. The need is the new identity you want to form. You want to do running, you want to go to the gym, whatever it is. Look at your schedule and then see how you can put these little incremental things in there. After all, as the book says, be the designer of your world and not merely the consumer of it. Boom! Lizard brain just shrank! A key takeaway from this book is that without embracing the whole 1% idea and implementing a system, your identity will not change. I'm going full book now. I thought I could learn Spanish by buying tons of books and just working through them. Isn't that how we base all our decisions from? Oh, I'll be a runner and buy running shoes, trousers, and I'll even get a running weight belt so that I'll be really, really good. Yeah, I haven't run for 3 years. And we think we just need to alter factor A, get running shoes, and all our problems will be solved. And we don't even think about building a chain and that we need to alter factor A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Momentum, because one factor by itself will not compound. One factor will run out of steam. 100%. Not if that's happened to you. It's happened to me multiple times whenever I've pursued a goal. Heck, I've been trying to learn Japanese since I was 16. Couple years ago. So let's do a quick little summary about the 5 points we've learned thus far. Our first factor is create an identity. Number 2, ask yourself how a person with that goal would act. Number 3, ask yourself how a person with that goal would eliminate things that would stop them from becoming their new identity. Number 4, write down specifics about your goals, the what, the where, and the how. Number 5, create habit stacking by sandwiching the need in between the want. And the next one, again, super simple, but you see what we're trying to do here. Number 6, surround yourself with others who want to do the same. Of course, damn! Join a book club, a running club. If there isn't one, make one, because then the I becomes a we, and a we is such a strong foundation for making sure you go through with things, as a lizard brain likes strength in numbers. I said we. When you were studying, or if you are currently studying, then having a group of where you're all in the same boat helps. It certainly did me. And misery does love company, eh? Babes, wanna learn Spanish?
Yeah, sure.
Done. Just completed number 6. This thing is snowballing. You see what we're doing. We've now altered factor A, B, C, D, E, F. Let's move on to the 7th point. In this chain of how to create habits is again the idea of mind shift. The brain doesn't like when you put it in a corner and make it do things it doesn't want to do. We saw Dirty Dancing the other day. Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Nobody likes studying. Let's be honest, that's why creating strong habits are hard. Change your mindset to create positive connotations like I want to, I get to. Along with the identity change, or point one, it seems it can have a really powerful compounding effect, and that's exactly what we're going for. Whenever we're on our travels and we have challenging situations, for example, we have to go on like a massive hike and it's snowing and it's like -5 and the wind, but if you don't get on the other side of the bridge, you die. Yeah, it's sort of like we get to do these things, so you have to pump yourself up. You have to change your mind shift so that you can actually do it. Torres del Paine. Nightmares. Nightmares. All of these factors reinforce this compounding theory, or as I like to put it, don't look at things in isolation. Instead, look at the entire picture. So now we're going to dive in deep onto the response stage. I really feel like the chain is already pretty strong in enabling us to achieve our goals. I certainly feel motivated, and to kick this off, James Clear comes out with a whopper. It seems to hit on my accountability angle, but the author argues, and I cannot disagree with him, when he says, we are so focused on figuring out the best approach that we forget to take action. This leaves us in a motion state, and we often confuse motion, planning, as action, but motion is not action. Action is action. Simply put, do the thing. Don't just plan on doing a thing, but actually do the thing that you wanted to do in the first place, instead of trying to find the optimal way on how to do a thing without actually doing the thing in the first place. I f***ing love that. Can we just appreciate for 1 second how brilliant that is? That's mad, fam. Am I too old to be saying fam? No. We are so focused on figuring out the best approach that we never get around to taking action. We're stuck in planning forever. Take my example. How many books did I buy? Vocabulary dictionary, exercise books, grammar books, Duolingo. Instead of actually doing the thing, learning Spanish, I wasted time and threw up excuses. This is not good enough. Nor this, blah, blah, blah. Only to then move on and buy other equipment when I should have just done the bloody thing and then learned what worked and what didn't work. Test and learn. We do it in marketing and business all the time. Oh my goodness. Number 8. Stop planning and take action. Do the bloody thing. Oh, that was a bit tough on me, I think. Number 9, habits are formed on frequency, not time. I wanted to include this one because it's so important. We often have time as judge, jury, and execution, but this is where yet another mind shift change comes into play. It's all about reps, it's not time. Do not set goals with a time limit. Work on what you have to, and the score will take care of itself. Love that as well. Remember that the score will take care of itself as long as you put the work in. This next bit has been applied to business for decades, but have we ever thought to apply it to our life? I'm not going to get into the business definitions of it, but number 10 is all about decreasing friction. It's difficult to provide examples on how you would decrease friction, as it is very much dependent upon your own individual circumstances and who you wish to identify as. One way the book talks about reducing friction is environmental change, but the best way to do it, and what's worked in my case, is to refer to what you wrote down on number 4 and assess how you can make it even easier. On the hard days, you will need this. In truth, the whole chain we've discussed so far is about lessening friction. Friction is what stands in the way and makes things hard. Identify it and then look to decrease it as much as possible. How I would remove friction may not be applicable to you, and vice versa. So have a think on ways to overcome friction and apply it as the 10th link in this chain. So powerful. Moving on. Number 11, the 2-minute rule. This is a very well-known theory, so I'll lay down my own interpretation of it. Lay a brick. I heard this initial idea from Will Smith in his book. I own so many books now, what is going on? But this is a pretty decent one. Him and his brother were tasked with building a wall, a huge wall. It was a daunting task, right? Build a damn wall. But then their father said to them, lay a brick. And suddenly, their mindset changed. They can for damn sure lay a brick, and that's all they had to do. So they didn't look at it as this enormous task. They looked at it as like, I lay a brick, I lay a brick, I lay a brick, boom, there's a wall. I use this thinking almost every day. I'm sure you've had those days where you feel like success is not happening. You're not where you want to be, you beat yourself down, you ask questions of yourself, but all you can do in that moment to move the needle is lay a brick. It will turn into a wall if you lay enough of them. I promise you, you will get your objective done. Form your habits the same way. Start small, get the building blocks in place, and they'll compound soon after. The wall will start to look like a wall. As long as you're adding to the wall by laying a brick every day, you'll see an improvement. This is again why step 1 to 3 are so important, and the rest are just complementary sprinkles to ensure you're in the best condition to become the who you want to be. A way you can continue this compounding is what the author calls gateway habits. This is number 12 on our chain. An example would be if you want to be a runner, don't start by buying all the stuff, the shoes, the trousers, the weight vest, and aim to run 2 hours every day. You're going to lose motivation quickly, and you'll associate negative thoughts with the positive change you're trying to implement. Massive no-no. Instead, run 2 minutes, heck, maybe even go for a 5-minute walk with your running shoes on, or even 10 minutes. Start off small, and if you're having a good day, push yourself further, but decide that on the trail. The important thing here is that you show up. Do not set out to push yourself. Take it slow and see how you feel, then adapt upwards in a positive direction. This doesn't mean you should give yourself a pass and be lazy either. It really doesn't. As long as you show up, the intent is there. On bad days when you don't feel like showing up, this is where you'll really see the benefits of reducing friction. So take number 10 seriously to quiet down your lizard brain. Remember, there are simple ways to make the good habit the path of least resistance. Direct quote, page 157. What the author describes as gateway habits really molds well into number 13, habit shaping, and it's illustrated within 5 phrases. But again, it's entirely dependent upon your new chosen identity, which is number 1 on our chain. I'm gonna use me as the prime example to help illustrate the point. Please remember, you may do things differently to other people, and this may change as I go through my journey. It will not remain stagnant. I could even divide it up as many times as I'd like, but for simplicity's sake, I will not. You're limited by your limitations. That was all me. Okay, I didn't come up with that, but great quote, by the way. Okay, so my identity-based habit is becoming someone who can speak Spanish. I'm not going to set it as an outcome to someone who speaks Spanish at a X or Y level. It's just speak Spanish. So let's apply this phase method. Phase 1. Grab a vocab dictionary and Spanish grammar books. I've had them for years. Phase 2. Read through and learn new Spanish words every day at 10 AM after morning coffee with Natalie. Open a book and see where you get up to. Important to note that Natalie will have her own habit shaping plan, or she can steal mine. Phase 3. Once vocab is built up, move on to grammar and start forming useful sentences. Phase 4. Perform speaking exercises for everyday occurrences. Phase 5. Go to Ecuador and blow them away with Excelento Español. Nailed it. I also know that for Phase 4, I don't have any book for it, but my mind is eagerly anticipating the reward. As we all know, I love 3 things: buying stuff, researching stuff, traveling. Okay, time to put the plan into action. I really hope you guys can join me through the journey as I try to become someone who can speak Spanish. I changed it already. Let's go. See you in the next one. Toodles. Vamos. An action is what moves the noodle. Noodle? Action moves the noodle. And that was hilarious. I was so in the zone. Get out. Okay. Alright. Anyway. Bloops. That's why you watch the bloops. An action is what moves the needle. Take. There's the noodle. That's too good. An action is what. An action is what moves the needle. I get noodle. He's not noodle. An action is what moves the needle. Take my example. How many books? Ways to overcome friction. Friction. I lay a brick. I lay a brick. I lay a book. Broom. Broom. I feel like a fancy prostitute.
Everything's recording, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, is the collar done? Toodles.